In my 11 years in recruitment, I have seen a lot of really good candidates who are very well qualified get super close to getting a job offer, but then make a small mistake at the very end and miss out on that opportunity. Now, I call these interview traps, and they are easy to fall into if you don't know what they are. In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 of them. That way you can avoid them moving forward. Let's go. What's up, everybody? I'm Ben White with Ben Talks Talent. I've got 11 years experience in recruiting, interviewing, and hiring, and I am passionate about using my experience to help you become the best candidate possible and land your next job. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about something incredibly important, and that's job interview traps. Easy traps that you could fall into as a good, well-qualified candidate that could prohibit you from getting a job offer. I don't want that to happen to you, so in today's video, I'm gonna share with you 5 common ones. But before we get into the video, do me a favor. If you are new here, please take 3 seconds, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you never miss one of my videos. They are free, and they are designed to help you become the best candidate possible. Let's get into the video. Now, the first one I want to talk about today is interview fatigue. I've talked to so many people who have gone into long interview processes, who prepare, they're ready, they have questions, they go in there, and they're ready to crush it. And they do well in the first interview. They do well in the second interview. And then they get to the third and the fourth and they start to fatigue. And it's, how much longer is this going to go on? And maybe, I've already prepared. I am not going to prepare much further. I think I've already got this. And I think that's a huge mistake. I've talked to people who told me they almost didn't do a little bit extra right before the last interview. And they feel like if they hadn't done that, they wouldn't have gotten the job. Here's the reality. If you still have an interview in front of you, it doesn't matter how well you have done. You are still being interviewed, it is not set in stone, and you need to bring your A game. It is really easy to show up when you have that first and second interview and bring your A game and do your best. But as it gets going and you're in the third interview, fourth interview, fifth interview, I know it is hard. But the reality is, if you want that job and you want to be able to lock it down, get a great offer, make a good career move, you need to show up every single day as if it was the first day and prepare as if every interview was the first interview. So one of the things that I want you to avoid if you're a candidate and you're interviewing and you're in the third, fourth, fifth interview is don't rest on your laurels, don't take it easy, keep your foot on the gas and do not stop bringing your A game until you have an offer in hand. That's mistake number 1 and job trap number 1. Now, number 2 is an interesting one because it's one I've experienced myself as a hiring manager. I've had candidates, talk with me, be super professional, super ready, and then we have a second conversation. And all of a sudden, it isn't like I'm interviewing them anymore, but it's like I'm talking to a friend, and they've relaxed a little bit. They're not as professional, and they're saying things that they shouldn't have. Maybe they weren't negative in any, in the first interview, they talked about their current role and their current boss, but they feel like we had a great interview, they're being moved forward in the process, we're connecting later on in the process, and then all of a sudden they start giving me information they wouldn't have given me in that first interview. Ben, I'm just ready to get out of here, I'm really excited about your opportunity, I think we're moving in the right direction, and quite frankly, it's coming at a good time, because I'm getting pretty sick of where I am. Well, hold up, that is not what you told me initially. I can't tell you how many times I have seen this myself, experienced it myself, or had a hiring manager tell me, Ben, I talked to the candidate and they seem very different from when we first talked, and there's a lack of professionalism. It is so easy to allow yourself to become more comfortable with someone when you think you're getting close to an offer, but I'm telling you, it is much better from a strategic perspective to continue being as professional as possible until you have that offer in the hand. Don't let your guard down. Continue being interview ready and professional all the way through. The third trap I want you to avoid is not bringing questions to every single round. This is kind of like interview fatigue in a way, except it's very specific. Your first interview, you probably have a lot of questions. You probably want to ask about training, the scope of the role, growth, company culture, all kinds of things. And those are all really good and important, and you should ask that. But as you get into the second and third round interview, sometimes you're talking to new people, maybe even the same person, and they ask you, Ben, do you have any questions? And if you don't, you're making a mistake. Asking questions isn't just about ascertaining knowledge. It certainly is, but that's only half of it. The other half of it is demonstrating preparedness and interest. So I always tell people, no matter what, no matter how many questions you have, if you're in round 10 of an interview process, and by the way, that is way too long, but let's just say you are in round 10, you should have 10 new questions to ask. Every single round you go into have a minimum of 10 questions that are teed up and ready to go. If it is your third interview and you've already asked a bunch of questions and you get to the end and the person who is talking to you goes, Ben, do you have any questions for me? You saying no because you've already gotten all your question answered is not a good thing. That's a bad thing. You want to ask every single question. Remember, even if you don't have anything that you want to ask, even if you have all your questions answered, every single round, you want to go in there with questions to ask because it's not just for you. Some of it is for them and letting them know you're interested, you're curious, you've done your homework, and you want to know more about the role. Always have questions every single round. Now, the fourth trap that I want you to prepare for and avoid is not preparing for the first round like you would with the hiring manager. So first round of an interview process, you are probably meeting with a recruiter, right? Smaller companies, maybe you're meeting with an HR person and you're thinking, you know what? This is just a check the box interview. All I have to do is go in there, show that I'm minimally qualified and not say something stupid, and I'll get moved on to the hiring manager. And when I get there, then I will prepare. Then I will be ready because that is the interview that matters. While that might not be entirely untrue, while that first round of interviews might just be to check the box, that is a poor mentality because the reality is some people come with their A game to interview candidates in round one. As a recruiter, I was never like a check the box interview. I was asking hard questions. I was asking detailed questions. I was asking questions so that if I went to my hiring manager and I told them, here's a candidate I personally feel would be a great fit for your team, I was ready to speak on that. So while it is so easy to view round one as just like an easy interview and say, you know what, I'll prepare when it counts, when I talk to the hiring manager, they all count. So you need to prepare at every single stage for an intense interview that will be make or break. Whether that's the recruiter, an HR person, or a hiring manager, you need to bring your A game. That is a trap, do not fall into it. Now the last trap I want you to avoid as a candidate, I call this unequal attention distribution in panel interviews. That is wordy, what I mean by that is you're in an interview, there's 5 people, and you know who the hiring manager is, right? And maybe you know who one of the senior people is. And then on the other end of the table, you've got a few people who are junior. And as you're answering questions, naturally, maybe you are directing a lot of your answers towards the person who's going to make the hiring decision, as well as some of the senior people, and you're not giving appropriate attention to some of the people who are newer to their career. That is a mistake. I can tell you as a hiring manager, I have literally watched candidates direct all their attention to me and not talk to junior members of my team. And I remember thinking, man, that's kind of rude. You know, if you're interviewing with a group of 5 people, you need to allocate that attention evenly. Show respect for people's time by addressing every single person, creating eye contact with every single person, and making sure that you're not just speaking to where you think counts, you're speaking to everybody. So that's an easy trap to fall into. It is almost natural to a degree to think, this is a person making the decision, so I'm going to direct the lion's share of my answers towards them, but I'm telling you, it is a mistake. You never go wrong talking to everybody and showing respect to everybody in the room. So an easy trap to fall into that I suggest you avoid is focusing all your answers to the people who you think have the greatest decision-making ability, because they might actually value the fact that you're talking to everybody equally. So when you're answering questions, direct them to everybody and make sure you spread out that eye contact. Well, there you have it. That is everything you need to know. Those are the 5 pitfalls that you want to avoid. Good luck in your next interview. You got this.